You may think Archie's birth was just another royal baby story, another smiling palace announcement, another carefully staged photo, another moment the monarchy wanted the world to celebrate. But what if the biggest royal mystery of the modern era was hiding behind that smiling Windsor Castle photo the entire time? What if the questions surrounding Archie's birth were so unusual, so loaded with contradictions, that even veteran royal biographers stopped in their tracks and started asking dangerous questions nobody inside the palace wanted repeated out loud? Because once you start connecting the details, the timeline begins to feel less like a normal royal birth and more like a carefully controlled operation surrounded by silence, confusion, missing verification, and stories that simply do not fit together.
The palace provides proof, who the doctors were, all signed off, everything signed off. And if they can't do that, because we have a right to know that who is closely in the line of succession is entitled to it. And if they can't do that, I'm afraid those children should be removed from the line of succession forthwith.
It's the first time in the history of the monarchy that this has happened. And therefore, we've all been asking, the doctor's name should be made public. You know that they put that outside with the easel, right? And then Harry, if we go by his narrative and it's spare, he says that Meghan Markle went to the hospital, the Portland hospital, and then she humped a ball, that she was put in the bathtub, she was given not one but 2 epidurals. I am a mom. I have had my child by using an epidural. Doctors will never put you in a bathtub if you have an epidural.
The controversy exploded because the public was not just questioning Meghan Markle anymore. They were questioning the structure of the royal system itself. And that made the situation explosive. Because if there is one thing the monarchy protects above everything else, it is legitimacy, bloodline, succession, protocol. Yet somehow, when it came to Archie, many of those long-standing royal procedures suddenly appeared to vanish into thin air. And that is where the whisper started becoming louder, much louder.
Every royal birth, except for that has been close to the line of succession, with the exception of Archie's and Lilibet's, has been signed off by a host of royal doctors. The only 2 that this has been omitted for, or with, whichever way you want to look at it, have been Archie and Lilibet.
I think that she's much more than that. There's a selfishness there. That was worse than narcissism. That was destructive. She's an agent of destruction, what she said against Britain. Everything was just so unfair and wrong. And it was really a dreadful thing what she did and continues.
People began revisiting old interviews, old statements, old timelines. Every sentence suddenly sounded suspicious. Every detail felt incomplete. Commentators claimed Meghan isolated herself during pregnancy. Others questioned why so much secrecy surrounded the birth compared to previous royal babies. Then came Prince Harry's own words in spare, and according to critics, those words only deepened the mystery instead of ending it. Because Harry described a timeline that many people immediately called medically unrealistic. He claimed that after arriving at Portland Hospital, they returned to Frogmore Cottage incredibly quickly after the birth. And suddenly, people started asking one terrifying question: how was that even physically possible?
And then Harry in his book says that within 2 hours of the child being born, they were back at Frogmore Cottage. Those are his words. Those are not my words. Those are his.
The more people analyzed it, the stranger it sounded. Royal commentators began pointing out that even uncomplicated childbirths require recovery time, monitoring, paperwork, medical cleanup, baby examinations, security coordination, and transportation planning. Yet according to Harry's own version, everything happened with almost unbelievable speed. Critics questioned how Meghan could supposedly stand, leave, travel, and return home so quickly after giving birth. But instead of receiving detailed clarification, the public got silence. And in royal scandals, silence is where suspicion grows the fastest. Then came the detail that truly shocked royal watchers: the missing doctors. Because royal births are not treated like celebrity births. They are constitutional events connected to succession. Traditionally, the doctors involved are publicly acknowledged. Witnesses exist, verification exists, records exist. This was done during the births of Prince William's children. It was done throughout royal history. The monarchy always understood one thing: the public must trust the legitimacy of succession. But when Archie was born, critics claimed the entire system suddenly changed overnight. No doctor publicly signed the palace easel announcement in the traditional way people expected. No independent witness was formally presented to reassure the public. And suddenly, people realized something uncomfortable. According to the public narrative, the only confirmed witness was Prince Harry himself. That single detail became gasoline poured onto an already burning controversy, because critics argued that royal protocol exists specifically to avoid uncertainty, speculation, and doubt. Yet here, the monarchy was facing all three at once. And then another layer appeared: security protocol. According to royal insiders and commentators, when a royal woman goes into labor, there are immediate procedures. The monarch is informed. Security lockdowns are activated. Protection teams coordinate everything. But Harry allegedly suggested many of those steps were bypassed. If true, critics argued it meant standard royal procedures were ignored during one of the most constitutionally sensitive moments imaginable. And that is where the questions became darker. Was this simply a privacy decision? Or was there a deeper reason the normal process was avoided? The Portland Hospital's refusal to release information due to patient confidentiality only intensified the public obsession, because technically the hospital was following standard medical privacy laws. But emotionally, symbolically, it created a vacuum. And when the monarchy leaves a vacuum, conspiracy rushes in immediately. Online investigators, YouTubers, bloggers, royal critics, everybody began searching for inconsistencies. Every missing detail became another clue. Every unexplained decision became another theory. And that is when people started going back to Archie's original birth certificate itself, searching for clues hidden in plain sight. At first, Meghan's personal names reportedly appeared on the document. Nothing unusual there. But later, changes were allegedly made, replacing her personal name with royal styling instead. Legally possible? Yes. But ordinary? Not at all. Critics immediately questioned why such a symbolic alteration would happen in the first place. Was it simply branding, palace image management, or was there panic behind the scenes about public perception and royal legitimacy? The palace explanations that followed only made things worse because they sounded vague, overly technical, and strangely defensive. Instead of killing the controversy, they fed it. And once the public feels something is being hidden, every future silence becomes suspicious. At the same time, people started noticing another uncomfortable detail. Meghan and Harry consistently framed their actions around privacy, protection, and mental health. On the surface, those explanations sounded reasonable, but critics argued something deeper was happening beneath that carefully constructed narrative. Why isolate so aggressively during pregnancy? Why avoid the traditional hospital step presentation royal families had followed for decades? Why delay Archie's introduction until a tightly controlled Windsor Castle photo opportunity instead of the usual public reveal? Every royal birth before had followed recognizable patterns, but Archie's birth looked different from the beginning. Different timing, different presentation, different procedures, different communication, different energy altogether. And then came the Oprah interview. That interview changed everything because suddenly the discussion surrounding Archie was no longer just about royal protocol. It became emotional, explosive, global. Meghan's claims about mental health struggles and concerns allegedly raised about Archie's skin color shifted public focus entirely. For some viewers, the interview explained why Harry and Meghan distanced themselves from royal traditions. But for critics, it created an entirely new question. Was the emotional storm surrounding the interview distracting the public from examining the inconsistencies surrounding Archie's birth itself? Because while the world debated racism, palace cruelty, and royal family tensions, fewer people were asking detailed questions about verification, timelines, and missing procedures. Meanwhile, long-time royal commentators kept repeating something important. Historically, royal births were treated almost like constitutional ceremonies. Even Queen Elizabeth herself was not exempt from transparency traditions connected to succession. Details were publicly documented. Doctors were named. Verification existed because the monarchy understood that public trust matters more than privacy when succession is involved. But critics argued that in Archie's case, the balance between privacy and constitutional expectation suddenly collapsed into confusion. Then came another detail people could not ignore: the presentation of Archie himself. Royal babies are traditionally shown to the public shortly after birth outside the hospital. Prince William and Princess Catherine followed that pattern. Princess Diana did too. It became part of royal culture. But Archie was introduced days later inside Windsor Castle in what critics described as a highly controlled environment. No chaotic hospital crowd, no immediate press moment, no familiar royal ritual. Everything felt managed, calculated, delayed. And in conspiracy culture, delayed information always creates suspicion. What terrified palace watchers most was not any single inconsistency. It was the accumulation of them. The timeline, the missing doctors, the altered certificate details, the absent witness verification, the hospital secrecy, the unusual presentation, the changed traditions, the emotional media storm. Individually, each detail could possibly be explained away. But together, critics claimed they formed a pattern too strange to ignore. A pattern that kept pulling people back into the same disturbing question over and over again: why did this royal birth look so radically different from every other one before it? And perhaps the most shocking part of all is this: the controversy never truly disappeared. Years later, people are still debating it online, still analyzing interviews frame by frame, still comparing palace statements, still searching documents, still questioning timelines, because the monarchy survives on certainty, ritual, and trust. But the Archie birth controversy left behind uncertainty instead, and uncertainty inside the royal family spreads like poison. Maybe Meghan and Harry simply wanted privacy. Maybe every strange detail has an innocent explanation hidden behind palace walls. Or maybe this entire story reveals something much bigger about how carefully royal narratives are constructed, protected, and controlled. But one thing is undeniable: the questions surrounding Archie's birth never fully went away. They only became quieter. And sometimes in royal scandals, the quietest moments are the ones hiding the loudest secrets.